Welcome to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast with me, Abby Watson. I'm a mum of 4 and a business strategist, and I train people to become hypnobirthing teachers. In the last decade, I've built a thriving baby business that grew beyond my wildest dreams. This podcast is for you if you run a business or dream of running a business in the birth and baby industry. You want to change lives whilst making more money. I'm talking about creating sustainable income whilst being present for the people that matter most. I believe for our baby businesses to have the impact we desire, we must be rewarded. On this podcast, expect me to share actionable strategies without the jargon. I've been where you are. I've built a business while raising 4 little ones, and now I'm here to help you turn your passion into profit while creating the life you've always dreamed of. So let's get started. Hello. I am so glad you are back listening to the Rockabye Revenue Podcast. I am here to talk about something that I know will resonate so deeply with many of you. Are you someone that wishes that they could ask Santa for like an extra 10 hours in the day? If you feel like you could just do with more time to get more done, this is the podcast episode for you. This is what we're talking about today. Guess what though? We can't ask for more time to be put in our day. I've tried, it doesn't happen. We can't magically create more time. And if you're anything like me, no doubt you have lots of other things going on in your life apart from your business. So actually having loads of time to get things done in your business maybe isn't a luxury that you have right now. And maybe like cloning yourself and employing somebody else to do part of the work just isn't a possibility right now for where you're at. So we're going to talk about something that is about getting more done, but it's not about magicking more time. What we're actually going to be talking about is 5 ways that you can work smarter in your baby business, not harder. So we're going to be talking about using the time that you've got on your business to have greater impact. Okay. Now, I hope you're really excited for this one, and I hope that if you are sat down with a cup of tea, maybe you've got a notepad too, because I am sure there will be lots of actionable tips that you can take away and implement right away. Now, if you're listening to me in the car, no problem, make a mental note, have a little stop, write a little note in your phone if you get a bit of a breakthrough moment. So let's crack on. Now, I'll put my hands up and say, in the past, sometimes I've actually resisted working smarter. So I've heard people talk about working smarter, and I've resisted it and thought, actually, I like working more in the moment. So I'll give you an example. I've heard people say you'll get more marketing done if you sit down and you batch. You get a whole month of marketing done and then it's done. And I thought to myself, no thanks. I'm much more kind of aligned with doing it on a daily basis when I'm in the moment, when a streak of inspiration hits me. That's what I've said to myself. I felt like it's more authentic, it kind of hits better, and quite frankly, it was a bit of an excuse. It was me kind of not wanting to change my ways, and maybe also resisting things being easier. So I'm telling you that because I want you to know that when you're listening to these ways today, you might also find yourself almost like making an excuse for why that wouldn't be great for you. Catch yourself doing it. Why are we trying to make working on our businesses hard for ourselves? Let's take the shortcuts. Let's take the shortcuts. Let's get more done. Let's have more impact, because when we do that, more people benefit from what we do. So let's get started. So, number one thing that you can do to work smarter rather than harder is this. I want you to record, not like, taping yourself. I mean like writing down, making a record of your routine processes. So by that, I mean things like if you take on a client, so perhaps you're a hypnobirthing teacher and you've got a new one-to-one booking, or maybe you're a sleep consultant and you've got a new one-to-one booking. You might know that when you get a one-to-one booking, you send them right away confirmation of the date that they've booked. You might also know that a week before that date, you send out an email saying how excited you are, what they should expect, what's going to happen, etc., etc. Okay. Actually get the previous ones that you have done, copy and paste, and put it somewhere. I recommend Trello to record things, okay? To make a note, to record the things that you are actually sending out to clients. Maybe you know that after the session, you send something. Oh, I've loved the session tonight. Just to let you know, I'll be seeing you next week as discussed, and this is what you need to do in between. If you are sending similar things to clients all the time, you are making life hard for yourself if you are not actually recording what you send and then copy and pasting and tweaking. Even better if you can actually utilize some kind of, software that does that for you, So make a record of these routine processes and make sure it's there at your fingertips for whenever you need to do it. So maybe you're a baby massage instructor and maybe you know that a week before the classes commence, you send a certain email and maybe a similar email goes out that morning. Okay. Please, please, please don't be creating these on the go. If you are doing them often, record them, have them ready to be copied and pasted and tweaked. Simple. Okay. Now, you might be nodding along, giving yourself a little gold star and thinking, oh, Abby, I already do that. I'm doing it. I'm great. Brilliant. You absolutely are. Okay. Are you also doing that for your inquiries? So maybe when people inquire about your services, you kind of get the similar kind of questions. And each time people inquire, you're sat there writing a response. Well, can you record? And again, I keep saying record and I'm thinking, I hope they don't think I mean like get a mic and record. I mean write down, make a note of some canned responses, some typical responses that you give to common questions you get asked. Because then again, you can copy and paste and very importantly, tweak and personalize. Then, how quick is responding to people's questions, people's queries, people's inquiries when you've already got 10 canned responses that you've probably already got sat in your inbox waiting for you to put somewhere to do this, to streamline it, to make it simple. Okay. And on that note, is there a way that you can do this with your actual bookings? please don't tell me that you are in the camp of even running group sessions and still sending your bank details for people to transfer money to you, when there are systems out there like Ticket Tailor that can do this for you. You can send people a link, they can go to that link, they can input all their details, they can put their card in, they can put their PayPal in if they want, and it's all done. Okay, you can even set it up so that they receive confirmation afterwards. Okay, so is there a way that you could utilize something like that for your bookings to again mean that there's less things for you to manually do? One thing that I started doing more recently is when people get in touch with me to have a chat about my services. Well, I used to go look at my diary and be like, oh, could you do this time or could you do that time? These days, particularly when I'm in busy times in my business, I utilise Calendly. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there is a free version. I mean, I do pay because I like to use its features such as being able to text people, like automates all that. But there is a free version, or there used to be. Do have a check, but it will do it for you, you know. So someone's inquiring about having a chat with you, you can send them your Calendly link. They can see what availability you have. They can click a button to reserve that spot, put all their details in, and it's done. You get a notification. It can even sync with your Zoom and set it up for you. Magic. If there's a way that you could do things like that, you might be resisting it. You might think, oh, but it doesn't actually take me that long going back and forth with those emails. But all these pockets of time add up. And if you were free to do other things on your business, what could you achieve? Okay, so that is tip number 1. Streamline and record your processes, making it super simple, repeatable, and meaning that, you know, your client contact and all that can be done without too much of your time and energy. Okay, on to tip number 2. This is about your actual work with your clients, your customers. So whatever you do in this industry, whether you're an antenatal educator, whether you're a doula, whether you run baby classes, I am sure that there are many things that you do with your clients that you're repeating with other clients, right? So for example, if you're a hypnobirthing teacher, you might occasionally run refresher courses. And when you run refresher courses for past clients, you might find that you kind of like stick to a similar format. Okay. Have you got those structures noted down? And literally it could be on a scrap of A4 paper that you just keep somewhere safe. Because I've been there. I've been that hypnobirthing teacher that does a refresher and, you know, makes a great go of it, does a fantastic refresher for my client, and then doesn't do another one for a month. And then when it comes to that new one, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to talk about? You know, my mind goes blank. And I think to myself, oh, the last time I did it, it went really well. What was it I included? How did I start it? And I'm using all this time and energy in preparing, where actually if I had a bullet pointed list of the 5 things that I went through with those clients, oh my goodness, how much easier would it be? Okay. Now, you might have like some standard formats that you follow that maybe were given to you by your training provider, right? But you might tweak them. And you might have had a session that went really well and you included something a bit new. I tell you what, when it comes to doing that again with another set of clients, you'll have slept by then. You'll have slept by then and your mind will have forgot exactly like the things that you did. So do yourself a favour, and after every session you do in the next month, take 5 minutes to jot down what you did. You will thank yourself for it later. Now, I know we're coming up to the time of year that some of you who run baby classes might do like festive specials, yeah? And you might really put lots of effort into making them such a lovely experience. Do yourself a favour for this time next year and really make a note of all those things that you did so that when it comes to 12 months' time, you've already got it planned. You know, when we repeat a lot of the same things in our businesses, like we run classes, like we have consultations with clients, it makes sense to be quite repetitive. You're going to tweak, yeah, but when we repeat the same things, doing the tweaks, we just make them even better each and every time. So do yourself a favour and actually make a record of how you run your sessions. You'll thank yourself for it later. Number 3. Okay, now this is the bit. I'm getting on to the bit now that I know so many of you want extra time for, and that is your marketing. You know, let's face it, you know, we might have a few hours a week to spend marketing our businesses, and if we had 100 hours a week, we could fill it, yeah? There's so much we could do to market our businesses, and isn't that wonderful? Now, the next few things I'm going to talk about here is how to make that time marketing your business have more impact, you know, really working smarter when you are doing your marketing. So tip number 3 is all about working out what is actually moving the needle, you know? Because, oh my goodness, the amount of hypnobirthing teachers in particular that I speak to, because that's my line of work, I train and support hypnobirthing teachers to build thriving businesses. I hear them messing about on Canva, spending so much time on social media, and when I dare ask, currently, where are your clients finding you? They'll say, oh, actually, through my website. And I'm like, well, why? Why then are you spending 95% of your time messing about on social media? I am not saying ignore social media. I'm saying, like, really be aware of where your clients currently are finding you. And my goodness, do not ignore that area, you know? Do not think, well, people are already finding me on my website, so I don't need to do much to that. If people are already finding you on your website, double down on it, you know? That's where your success is coming from. What could be possible if you doubled down on how fabulous that website is, you know? If that website was speaking to their heart, was overcoming their objections, how much would that impact your bookings, you know? So tip number 3 is this. Firstly, please, 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 do ask your clients where they are finding you. Firstly, if you're not asking that question, you are not going to know where they came from. You might assume that they came from social media because they DM'd you there, but when you actually ask the question, they might say, oh, actually, it was referral. Or they might say, oh, actually, I found you on your website and I've hopped over to your social media. Such important information. Or they might say, oh, I've been following your social media for ages. I feel like your content just speaks to me. You know, amazing information. Okay. So always ask your clients where they found you. Okay. Because that is going to give you a good indicator of where it's great to double down your time, where you can focus to really move the needle. Okay. So that's tip number 3. Let's go on to tip number 4. And again, this is about your marketing. Now, whatever marketing you do, you know, whether you do website, social media, whether you do a mix of it all, whether you do a podcast like I do, whatever it is, no doubt you produce content. That's what we call, you know, the stuff we put out for our potential clients. So this podcast today is a bit of content, isn't it? You know, it's content that I'm producing in my business. Okay. Now, what can you do, okay, to make sure that every piece of content you are producing that's taking your time, that's taking your energy, can have the biggest impact? Well, what you can do is exactly what I've been doing with this podcast. Reuse it elsewhere. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example by referring to this very podcast that you are listening to, or perhaps you're watching over on YouTube. Okay, so I'm sat down in my living room recording this podcast. Okay, what you might not know is that over there, sat on a chair, on a tripod, is not a human being. No. It is my tripod with my phone that is recording me kind of like from the side. Okay. So I'm doing my podcast, you know, I'm looking at my computer, I've got my mic in front of me, but at the same time, my phone is also filming me. Okay. And that's because after I've recorded this podcast, that of course gets loosely edited, you know, and put up on all the podcast channels, I get the video from my phone, okay, and I input it to something called Vizard, okay. It's a website called Vizard. It is fabulous. I do pay for the paid version because I like to take their branding off, but you can absolutely use the free version that does have the Vizard branding on, okay. And basically what Vizard magically does, and honestly, I can't even believe how good AI that they use is. So it takes the video, so I upload the video, it takes it, and then it picks out several snippets of that video that would be great for reels on social media. So it uses AI to pick out the clips that they think will get the best views. So I suppose like basically the highlights, the bits that might be a bit more controversial, the bits that, you know that people are likely to engage with. So it picks out the clips. Not only does it do that, it creates an actual title on the video that it puts on, and it also puts subtitles, puts emojis and all that jazz. So if you want to see how this looks, go over to my Instagram at loveyourbirth_training, and you will see that I have got several reels that are filmed to the side, me talking on my podcast, short things all labelled up. Vizard did that for me. All I have to do then is download it and upload it to social media. Simple. Okay. Also, what I do on the back of this podcast, I also think about, while I'm talking about a certain topic, what social media posts I could do that relate to the topic, So whilst I've been thinking about a topic, so today, of course, is how we can work smarter, not harder, I think about any social media content, any written posts that I could do on that topic. I don't share them right away, but they're banked for the future. Okay. I also quickly write a bit of a captiony thing that's gonna go out to my email subscribers with a link to the podcast. Okay. So me sitting down to record this perhaps half an hour, 40-minute podcast, I am getting so much content for various places from it. I also forgot to mention that we also download the video that my computer is recording. It's all going on in here. It's a wild setup in this room. But yeah, my computer is recording a video front on, if you're watching on YouTube, that's that. Okay, so we download the video, upload it to YouTube. So me sitting down to do this 40-minute piece of content, can you see how it is going to so many different places? My tip is for you to think about how you can do that too. I'm not saying you need to go off and do a podcast. Maybe it's that you are going to, do an Instagram live. You're going to download the live and then you're going to input it to something like Vizard, get the reels from it. Maybe you're going to create a couple of social media posts on the back of it. Maybe you're going to get some kind of technology to transcribe it and you're going to pick some quotes for social media. Can you see how one piece of content can be used in various places? Another way that I do this in my own business is when I write a blog for my website. I love writing blogs for my website because there's nothing like getting on with that really long piece of content that you can get your teeth into. But I'm really aware that not everybody comes over to my blog and not everybody has got the time to read 1,000 words. But putting that blog on my website is incredible for my SEO, as in getting my website seen on Google. Okay. Yes, people who find my website might have a little meander over to my blog and feel like they get to know me more from that blog. Okay. However, when I have written that blog, I spend 5 minutes creating 3 pieces of social media content from it. Literally, I will copy and paste bits of it. Sometimes I tweak them a bit. Sometimes I don't even need to. If there was a great quote that I said, I'd steal the quote and that would be a social media piece of content. Okay. And again, that blog can be used for my email subscribers as well. Okay. So there's so many ways that you can be more productive with your content. Okay. And you don't have to do it in as many ways as I've just described there, but let's start small. What are you already doing that could be used elsewhere so that your wonderful content does get seen and heard elsewhere? A really easy way of doing this is simply recycling. Okay, so you're doing an Instagram story and you've got your phone and you're saying, "Hi, lovely, just to let you know, I've got a new class starting on Monday. There's 2 places left," whatever. Okay, you click save before you post it on your stories. Yeah, it goes to your camera roll. And it is then there for the next time you need a similar story, but you just don't feel like getting on camera, Or you think, actually, I'm going to post that as a reel, Stop doing brand new things when actually you could do one thing and use it in many, many ways. Okay. And on that note, my goodness, I bet you are already sat on so much content that you could recycle. If you have been in this business for a year or more, even less, my gosh, what content that you created 6 months ago could you literally reuse again? The thing about the people that we tend to work with in the baby industry is that usually they're only a potential client for a short period of time, okay? Which means that actually recycling things and using great posts that you created a few months ago, oh my gosh, makes true sense, because actually that pregnant woman that you're talking to now on your social media, well, she didn't see the content that you posted 6 months ago that was great, because, her baby was just like a glimmer in her eye back then, or whatever that silly phrase is. That baby was just, it was just a seed. It was just an egg, So really think about how you can be going back to your old content and recycling it. Oh my gosh, it's not cheating. It is working smarter. And in actual fact, mark my words, it will lead to greater success, because if you reach back for something you have created before and you make it even better, my gosh, don't we agree that that is probably more powerful than something that you've just thought of as you sit in the nursery car park, Like, you've already got stuff, use them and make it your blooming habit to be recycling and reusing, and stop reinventing the wheel, Final tip number 5 for how we work smarter rather than harder, even if we haven't got an assistant or a clone. This is what we do. We give our business a prune. We prune our business, I should have said, We're not giving our business a prune to help with constipation. We are pruning our business like you would a bush, We're trimming it back. We're, helping it grow by chopping things away. Still, you might be thinking, what on earth are you on about, Abby? Well, this is what I'm on about, okay? When we have run a business for a bit of time, we often just keep doing the same things over and over again. So we are offering the same services and we're just like marketing them all, all the time. Take a pause and prune your offers. So whatever services you are offering, really think, my goodness, is there anything that I'm currently offering that just does not make sense when I'm on limited time? And I'll give you an example of a couple of ways that I've done this in my own business, okay? So many years ago, when my business was all about teaching expectant parents hypnobirthing, I started running pregnancy relaxation classes. And I blooming loved running those classes. They were an hour a week, every week. And some of my clients came, and of course, other women came from my community. They were fab, okay? However, after a few months, I pruned that service. As in, I let it go. I chopped it off, I got rid of that service and I swapped it with something else. I didn't want to get rid of it completely because I saw that it served a great purpose in my business. It actually introduced new people to my world, and some of those people did become customers, okay? However, I really saw that evening that I was taking up for pregnancy relaxation just didn't make sense anymore. My diary was chocker. I had so many hypnobirthing bookings in my diary. And when I went out to a hypnobirthing client, the return for my time was much higher than me going to that venue, setting up for pregnancy relaxation and running the class for 8 women. So it kind of didn't make sense. So I let go of it, even though it felt hard, because I enjoyed it and other people enjoyed it too. But like I mentioned earlier, instead of just giving it the chop completely, I swapped the service. And instead of doing it as pregnancy relaxation every single week, I swapped it with a pregnancy relaxation retreat morning once a month. Again, it became a better use of my time. Is there anything in your business where it's just no longer making sense, you offering and spending so much time promoting that service, running that service, when actually the return you're getting elsewhere is much greater? Another example of where I've done this in my own business, and it was a hard decision. I am not for one moment saying it's easy to do this. We can sometimes be really scared of the change that it brings, and we can be like, oh, but so-and-so will be disappointed, and oh, but what about this and what about that? We can almost overthink it, okay? But one way that I did this in my current business is, you might know if you've followed me for a while, that as well as training people to become hypnobirthing teachers, I used to offer one-to-one mentoring. And my goodness, those clients that I had opportunity of working with were just the best. I absolutely loved offering that service. It was amazing. However, it was taking up a lot of my time, fitting in the calls, really being in somebody's business took so much of my energy, thinking about their business as much as I thought about my business. It was a lot, and actually the price that I was charging was the same as one enrollment for my hypnobirthing teacher training, And my hypnobirthing teacher training is now at a stage where, oh my God, I'm so grateful to say, oh my gosh, people come to me just with ease, and I know that what I offer is such an incredible service that marketing it, again, comes with such ease, whereas the mentoring, it was taking so much more of my time, and I was in a place in my life where, if you've listened to episode 3 of this podcast, you'll know that my family life, my personal life has been full on. I've had a lot to deal with my children, and life is pretty busy. Something had to give, and it made sense to let go of the thing that was taking so much of me, but actually wasn't giving me as much return. And I know that sounds quite harsh, Carl O'Connor from Coronation Street, I've not watched Corrie for ages. Is she even in it? Is she even a hardcore businesswoman? Who knows? But my goodness, it's not it's not an 80s businesswoman with shoulder pads. It's actually just really protecting our energy, protecting our time. So, do you need to give your services a prune? Okay. So let's go through these 5 tips as a bit of an overview. So firstly, number 1 was to make sure you record your routines in your business. So things like client confirmation emails, all this, inquiries, have them recorded so you can copy and paste and tweak. Invest in things like Ticket Tailor, Calendly, so that automation can take care of things for you. And I hear you if you're a bit of a technophobe, but let me tell you, I'm a technophobe too. And those kind of bits of software, yeah, we're a bit like, what the hell do I press at first? But eventually it becomes super easy. And guess what? They're designed for people like us that are technically challenged. Okay. Number 2. Okay, streamline your client work. Actually write down your plans. Have them somewhere to hand, even if you don't sit down at a computer and do it. But my goodness, at least write them down on a Post-it note so that the next time you come to do it, it's so easy. You're not spending time planning. You know, you've got it, you're grabbing and you're going. Okay, stop reinventing the wheel. Number 3, when it comes to your marketing, actually work out what is moving the needle and make sure that the time you're spending on your marketing reflects that, okay? Instead of just kind of like, oh, I'll just do this because it seems to be what everybody else does, you know? Really think about where your efforts in your marketing would be best spent. Number 4, when it does come to your marketing and you're producing content wherever you are focusing your energies, get the juice out of the content and use it many places. Get the best impact from every piece of content that you are putting out there, so you're not having to constantly be this content creating machine. Nobody wants that. And then finally, number 5, prune your business. Really think about what's actually worth your time offering to your clients. You know, it's okay to let things go and decide for the stage of business you're at now, that thing that once did serve your business well no longer does. And notice how much extra space, energy, time for other things that you have. Okay. So, my lovely one, I really hope that you have gained something. Or actually, no. I hope you've gained lots of things from this episode. Please do come over to Instagram at loveyourbirth_training and let me know what your number 1 takeaway has been. Let's work smarter, not harder, and impact more of our business so we can change more lives. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, keep on changing lives. Bye! Thank you for listening to Rockabye Revenue. I hope this episode has left you with some fresh ideas and bundles of motivation. If you enjoyed this episode, do make sure you click subscribe so you never miss an installment. And if you found this episode useful, I'd love you forever if you leave a 5-star review, helping this podcast reach the ears of more of the helpers in this world. And remember, keep changing lives. See you next time.